Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It is Monday evening, sorry, July the 9th at 5:30 p.m. Hopefully everyone has had a fantastic day. It is so hard to believe that we are in November and Thanksgiving is just around the corner. So if you're just joining me, if you would put in the chat where you're joining me from, and if you are watching this on replay, just put in hashtag replay. So this evening, most of you are probably wondering, well, what is she doing on at 5:30? We're doing something a little bit different this month in November. And so this evening, I have a lovely guest. Her name is Molika Gupta. So I'll introduce her, and then she'll come out and provide more information about, herself. And the topic for tonight is imposter syndrome. So Molika Gupta is a transformational coach, public speaker, and co-author of Redesign Your 9 to 5. And don't we all need to do that? She is on a mission to inspire 10,000 women by 2025 who have gone through life-changing transitions such as relocation to a new country. Molika is also a patent licensing analyst, and some of us may need her for that, and is a double master's degree holder in biotechnology from India and intellectual property management from Chicago Kent College of Law, the second oldest law school in the state of Illinois, and she has worked with Fortune 500 American companies, including General Motors. Molika has been a guest on several women's leadership podcasts, online summits, and stages on topics including women's rebirth. She is also on board as council member for Western USA Indian Business Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She also has bylines in publications such as the Detroit News, PBS, and Fast Company. That's amazing. She lives with her family in the lush green suburbs of Detroit, USA. So welcome, Molika Gupta.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for that amazing introduction and reading my lengthy bio. Thank you for doing that.
You're more than welcome. It actually wasn't that long.
Well, then I had to work more to make it more long, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, I'm so glad we had a chance to get together this evening. And so I know the audience can't wait to hear about imposter syndrome. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in business and being a publisher, a speaker, all that great stuff.
That's a great starting point to start with this topic, with the one called imposter syndrome. Well, listen, I have a beautiful story, and the story started from me transitioning to a new country. So I came from India. I married to my childhood friend, and then I relocated to a new country called America. And while this relocation was happening, Linda, I was going through a lot of depression, identity crisis, culture shock, loneliness, and utter loss of my confidence. And this is a story. This happens with a lot of people who go through life-changing transitions, like
Right.
relocating to a new country. So you can imagine all the transitions and all the things I was going through. But as I was going through all of this internally, my life kept moving. And so I then went on to pursue my second master's from Chicago. I then went on to work with Fortune 500 American corporates in patent licensing. And just to touch on my life in India, I was already working in a patent law firm. I already had a master's in biotech in India and everything. But when I came to the US, I have to really figure out what is out there for me as a next step. So as I was living this American beautiful dream of mine, things happened. And the way things happened was that it completely changed me. My life changed. And just to touch upon it, I came to this country on a spousal visa. And if anybody who understand that process, what happens is that when you are on a spousal visa, it often comes with a restriction to work. So in many countries, including the US, you cannot work. So that is what was my starting point. And then I went on to work. Of course, I went on to get into another visa. Then I was sponsored to work and all of that. Things happened in a way where I had to go back and convert myself into a non-working spousal visa. and that's where it was my journey of entrepreneurship, because now I was that person who was on the train of corporate ambitious career train, right? I had my
Right.
10 years laid out, and I knew exactly what I'm doing, and now life just made things happen in my circumstances, but I had to ask myself this big question: what is out there for me? If all the titles, if all the education, if all I was for so many years got stripped away from me, which exactly what happened, what is left out there for me? Who is
Mm.
Molika Gupta? And so that question really was my initial sparking moment to figure out that there is something more for me beyond just what I was. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing story. And then coming to a new country. And now, did you know English at the time, or you learned it as you got here, or how was that working for you?
Yeah, that I actually so but the question is basically, I am often asked that question. So in India, uh, English is the first language. So English and Hindi are both the first language
First
for
language.
the Indians. Yes.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, I'm very very glad that I was already speaking in English. So that was not language wise, it was not a big deal for me. It was a
Right.
big deal with the changes and the transition which was happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different culture, and I worked in Malaysia for a while when I was in corporate America, and totally different culture. So, I mean, I'm sure those two are not the same, but just being in an area where you don't know a lot of people, the culture is different, and you're just trying to learn things. And it was a gorgeous place to be, but it was just kind of weird to get adjusted. But
I
everything worked out great.
It's true.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about the imposter syndrome and how does that connect to your redesign your 9 to 5?
Yeah, so imposter really is, and if you have not gone through, right, and then here's what is going to happen. You will realize that this is happening to you. So here's how it looks like. Okay, so if you're just saying, if somebody when compliments to you and says, well, you know what, you're a great speaker, you are so talented, you are so gifted, and you often respond by saying that, well, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I think I just got lucky. I really don't think I'm so good. Honestly, well, thank you, but no thanks. Well, here's
Right?
the thing, my friend. What is happening to you is that you don't feel qualified enough. You don't feel
Mm,
good enough. You feel like a fraud
right.
internally. You feel like somebody will just find you out. And that really is what is called imposter.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. And I'm sure for those that are listening and for entrepreneurs that are listening, we may sometimes find ourselves that way. So, do you work with entrepreneurs around imposter syndrome? And if so, what are some of the feedback that you hear from them?
Yeah, so for people who have transitioned from a employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset, which often comes with, well, I don't have guidance, I don't have people who are telling me what I'm supposed to do, I don't have a boss. uh,
Right.
right, how do I even make sense of my decisions? How do I even make sense of what I'm supposed to do the next step? And which is often related to the fact that I don't feel good enough. I'm always on this train of learning more, right, of
Hmm.
buying more courses, finding that right strategy, right. I've
Are you
done
talking about me?
yes, uh, you know, and then so what is happening over here is that you are always on this train of getting ready, and
Yeah.
not ever feeling that you are ready enough, right. And so that is really that first sign that this is happening, right, that you are feeling the fear of getting judged, fear of getting seen. So my clients are often very ambitious, accomplished women.
Mm,
Either they have been in their home countries, right, or if they're not an expats or immigrants, they are in this country and they are just
right.
so accomplished in their own way. But they often feel that desire of, well, I'm not sure if I'm ready enough, I'm not sure if I can speak on a stage, or I can be speaking to a 10 people. So imposter is a real thing when you
Yeah.
are trying to build something of your own, when you are expanding your comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I think people go through imposter syndrome at different times, and we all go through it. It's just like when I first started doing Facebook Lives, I probably did my first retake maybe 10 times.
Yes.
It's like, it wasn't perfect. I messed up. And then I thought, it's okay to be imperfect. So
Right.
why do you think so many women, for all the women that are listening, why do you think so many women struggle in this area of imposter syndrome and trying to be perfect?
Absolutely. So this is an important question, right? Like, and this question, I was in one of the panelists discussion on the same topic called imposter, right? And the question was, do men suffer as much as women do? And the answer is yes. But the reason we find a lot of women staying stuck of not feeling good enough is, I think it's also the
Right.
cultural background, the society we are living in, the environment which often puts women down. We are always second guessing ourselves. And not to say that men doesn't do that, but the difference is that men don't admit doing that.
Right.
Right. um, and so, even if you make a list of all the men in your life, right, you would, well, you're like, I don't think that person has even a ounce of self-doubt inside of them, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, because they're always so confident.
exactly, because
Even when they're not confident, they're confident.
yeah, right, because they are not tapping into their vulnerability. They're not tapping into their, that version of them which says, what, it's okay to say I'm doubtful. Versus,
Right.
we are often very much tapped into our emotions. We are very much into our feminine energy, which where we like feel like saying, what, I am doubtful. I am not sure about it. I don't think I'm ready. So that is the reason why we have many women, where we raise our hands and we say, yes, I don't think I'm ready enough. And that is the reason. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So for the women that are listening and the men, what's a couple of pieces of advice that you would give to them if they are in this imposter syndrome? Number one, they recognize that they are in the imposter syndrome. But number two, what if they don't realize it? But listening to you, they're picking out some things and are thinking, that's me. I do that. What do you tell those individuals?
Absolutely. So the first thing is that, and I always often, when I bring some bad news, it always has to come with the good news, right? So I think
Right.
that's how the things should be. So the good news is that many people and the accomplished women and men, including Maya Angelou, J.K. Rowling, and the best of the speakers out there, and the authors and coaches, they go through this. They
Mm-hmm.
have gone through this. They often feel that somebody is going to find them out. So the more you are becoming the higher version of yourself, and the more you're becoming that bolder version of yourself, the more you will feel this feeling. And so that's the good news, that you're not alone.
Right.
um, a lot of people goes through that, and it is okay to feel like that, right? What is
Yeah.
not okay is that once you have acknowledged this thing, right, you need to work on this. You need to either hire a coach, hire a specialist, read books about it, work on it. Because if what there's a difference between, Linda, imposter moment and
Mm.
imposter life,
Ah. Say
right?
more about the imposter moment versus is moment more of you're in the moment and life is that you continue it through your life, or what are the difference between the two?
Exactly. So imposter moment is where we often, each one of us has that imposter moment where we feel like, well, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm gonna be able to speak about this, or let's say I'm gonna be able to do what I'm supposed to be doing or what I'm asked to do. Imposter life is where you stay in that moment
Mm.
for entire your life,
Life.
where you are always on that train of asking people for validation, and you are so hinged on that validation that you are never able to explore how great, how good you are. uh,
Right.
right. So and that's the difference. So
Yeah.
if that is what is happening to you, imposter moment is happening to you, right, that is okay. But once you have acknowledged that, you have realized that, don't let it become your imposter life.
Life. Exactly. So why do you think most people go through the imposter syndrome? Are they creating a facade, or is it lack of confidence? What is it that causes people to experience imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna share my example, because I have lived an imposter life. Believe you me or not, but uh, you know the culture I come from. So I come from Southeast Asian culture, and as much as I love that culture and many cultures, including Southeast Asian cultures, we are very much suppressed as women.
Okay.
We are very much put down, and we are always told that, stay in your lane, right? Like, be that good Indian woman who is just doing her own thing and not, sharing her own voice and not standing her for her own greatness.
Yeah.
uh,
Now we hear that in America too. Stay in your
right.
lane.
Yes, yes, and as much as it's prevalent in almost everywhere, it's very much on your face,
Yeah.
especially if you're coming from a culture like that, because your upbringing is around that environment. uh,
Right.
so for me, that was the case. I was always looking for validation. I was always looking for people telling me, you're good, you're great. You know what, you go and explore what you are supposed to do. I was always in that phase of self-doubt, and
Mm.
and it just kept continuing for me, for a period of time. Even when I stepped into entrepreneurship, the way it was happening, I was wanted to get validated from my clients,
Mm.
right? Through client testimonial, through they telling me, or through they booking me for more, or they buying
Right.
more programs or courses, right? Because that gives the validation that I'm good enough.
Right.
And so it really is, the reason behind feeling all of that is often cultural, is often upbringing, is the fact that depending on who your parents, your friends, your relatives, whoever didn't got validated you enough, never told you that you are amazing.
Mm.
There can be many reasons. But the fact that in your adulthood that continues to show up in so many ways, right? It can be so many other ways. Oh my God, my spouse is not validating me enough. My manager is not telling me I'm good enough. Why are they not promoting me? Maybe I'm not doing enough.
Right.
So it's just amazing how it keeps showing up, in a very, very, long time period of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it does. And I think maybe for women particularly, we have so much on our plates and we're carrying all these burdens with us, to get everything done, being a wife, a mom, working and some women are going back to school, me included. So there's so many different things that they're carrying with them and there's no sense of source of validation.
Right.
Um, then that imposter syndrome can very quickly pop in and kind of destroy some of your joy. So yeah, it's good. So hopefully the people that are listening are really soaking in what imposter syndrome is all about. So the last question I'll ask you is, how do people or women or who's ever listening, what are some ways that they really can just hone in on when it creeps up, imposter syndrome, and how to identify it so it doesn't steal their joy? How do they prevent it from just creeping in, other than practicing, saying, I am worthy, or having your affirmations? What are some things that people can really do and really stick to?
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, I have two mantras which I'm gonna give you, and which is just gonna, put you out there and be okay with the fact that, I am not perfect, I'm not ready enough. So the first of them is, I often tell it myself, is show up shitty.
I love it.
That is the mantra. And when I say mantra means that something which you just follow, which you don't question, which you don't analyze, which you don't let your mind come into it. So just
Right.
do it, right? So what exactly is show up shitty? Let me have that privilege to explain you what exactly is that.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, you know, it is when you just show up the way you are. You don't
All
care
right.
about getting judged. You don't care about, having a messy bun, not putting enough makeup, right? Your eyeliner is not there. And you just show up because you have this big why inside of you, right? If you don't do that, you just don't regret,
Right.
not showing up. So show up shitty is really the quicker way. I think it's the quickest way to just put yourself from head to heart,
Yeah.
and to ask yourself that if I don't show up, what is on the other side? What I'm gonna lose, right? So
Right.
that's my first quick tip. Make this your mantra. Put it on a sticky note, right? Like me, it's on my. It just says
Oh, okay.
with my pen. Whatever is, get it tattooed. Whatever is your way to remind yourself, because people don't really care about your perfection. They really don't care. Okay, and especially in the times we are living in, um,
Yeah.
it's just okay to just show up.
Show up.
It's more than enough actually to show up. And of course, after showing up, you also bring your good and amazing best self, right?
Exactly.
uh, and then second, and I also have a second mantra. So for all the speakers and coaches, and even if you're not on a professional speaker, you just have another speaking, you're gonna speak tomorrow at a presentation, in a meeting. This is a mantra I follow, which says, I speak to inspire, not
Not
impress.
impressed. Oh, I love that.
And this is really the game changer, because this little phrase, it just stays on my sticky note, and it just puts the focus from you to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're not worried about getting judged or getting, what's going to happen, right? So it's more like, well, I know why I'm doing this, why I'm speaking to inspire.
Right.
So that really is my quick little 2 tips to make you go from your head to your heart and to your mission, to your purpose. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Speak to inspire, not impress. And I think that's so important because so many of us get caught up in trying to impress people, trying to be good, trying to be perfect, to make sure that we're enunciating things very correctly. Yeah. So, how do people get in contact with you, Molika?
Yes. So I have a podcast called The C Factor. And so that is the quickest way to reach out to me. I also have a book called Redesign Your 9 to 5. So I invite you to explore that. That has my journey. I have co-authored a chapter called Follow the Nudge, Don't Delay or Start. Um,
Ah,
and I love that title. So if that is something which is calling you, that's the way. And you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. So just type it out, Molika Gupta, and I'll be there. Drop a line. Yeah.
okay. All right. I'm putting this in the chat. Redesign your 9 to 5. And then I'll go back and put in the link so that everyone can have that. This has been phenomenal. Awesome. I've learned a lot more about imposter syndrome and brought up some of the things you talked about, just reminded me of some of the things that I do where imposter syndrome kind of, sneaks in a little bit. And we just need to be mindful of that and don't allow that to happen, to us every day. Like you said, you have those moments, but don't let it be a lifetime.
Right, absolutely. Don't let it be lifetime. And on that note, Linda, also once you have realized this, work on it. Get a coach. Hire someone. Just explore and work on it to make sure that it's not stopping you. Just
Right.
think about that imposter life. You don't want to be the person at getting out of your life and asking yourself this question: Did I really
Yeah.
live my life? Did I really did what I wanted to do?
Yeah.
So that is the reason. You need to really make sure that this is not stopping you from doing what you're meant to do.
Exactly, exactly. Awesome, awesome. Well, I hope that the people that are listening have just flourished and learned so much about imposter syndrome and gotten to know you better, in addition to learning about your book, Redesign Your 9 to 5, which I love the title. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. And I look forward to maybe another opportunity having you on my show, which I'm calling right now the Linda Jordan Show. I'm coming with a crafty, kind of cool name. So that's what it is for now.
Yeah, it's a good name. It's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's what it is for now until, maybe the audience says, hey, I've got a great idea. But right now, that's what I'm calling it. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been a pleasure. Again, for those that are listening, I will put Molika's contact information and the link to her podcast. So please check her out, and let's not allow imposter syndrome to take control of our lives as we are dealing with being an entrepreneur, being a mom, being a wife, mother, whatever it is that you're doing. Show up and show out. That's what I'll say. Show up and show out. Thank you so much, Molika. And until next time, everybody, goodbye.